Sony just did something very interesting. They started asking a series of strange questions about Nintendo. Why now, and what exactly are they trying to figure out? Some fans think this might be the first real sign of something much bigger, even a brand new Sony handheld. Let's break down what's going on and why this could change everything for PlayStation gamers who are praying for a PSP 2. So here's the deal. A known leaker by the name of Xstas1STV posted screenshots of a PlayStation survey that went out to select PSN users. And this wasn't your usual, how are we doing as, PlayStation, are we good, do you like us sort of thing. It was a little bit different. Sony were specifically asking about the Nintendo Switch 2 right after we had the Nintendo Direct, which launched, I guess you could say, the Switch 2 and showed us all its features, a couple of the games, and then the price all came later. So what were they asking? Well, we've got these screen grabs here, which I'll throw up on screen. First off, we had, as you may know, Nintendo announced that the Nintendo Switch 2, the successor to the Nintendo Switch, is releasing on June the 5th, 2025 for $449 or £395.99. How interested are you in purchasing the Nintendo Switch 2? Definitely won't purchase, probably won't purchase, maybe will purchase, probably will purchase. So they're definitely interested to see if PlayStation users are also going to pick up a portable handheld gaming machine like the Nintendo Switch 2. Next up, we had another question which was interesting. We had, what aspects of the Nintendo Switch 2 console, as announced on April the 2nd, are you most interested in? Select all that apply. And from the screenshot, we can see when docked up to 4K resolution, support for HDR, VRR, and frame rates up to 120 frames per second, Joy-Con 2 controller features, magnetic attachment, and mouse compatibility. Game chat using the C button. It's kind of the most random thing ever, that, isn't it? That you need to actually pay to use the C button. How random. Only Nintendo could get away with this. Then they asked, connect face to face with a USB-C camera, high definition LCD display, 7.9 inch screen, 1080p resolution. And then there's something else that's there that's been cut off. I don't know what that is. Maybe that says none of these apply. I don't know. But very interesting stuff there. So they're interested in what tech specs almost there, what aspects of the Switch 2 entice you to buy one, or are you interested in, which just gets me thinking about a dedicated PSP 2 type console, or even a PlayStation Portal Pro. So let's go on to the next bit and see what that has in store for us. The next question was, below is a list of potential reasons to buy the Nintendo Switch 2. Please select your top 3 motivating factors. So to play upgraded and or new exclusive games, to keep engaged with the gaming community, to get the Mario Kart World Bundle, the new features and accessories are exciting, to upgrade my hardware in general, and I always buy the newest consoles. Now, that's interesting that there is something missing from this. They've asked potential reasons to buy the Switch 2, but there's nothing there about portability, which I find really bizarre because you think they would be asking about that. Is that a big motivating factor that you can play your AAA games on the go? But apparently not. Sony are not interested in asking that right now. Hey, what do I know? Let me know what you think. And just out of curiosity, are any of you pre-ordering the Nintendo Switch 2 or picking one up? Let me know in the comments. That's not all they asked though. We've got more. Next, they said, when thinking about the Nintendo Direct, Nintendo Switch 2 announcements, in what way has your opinion changed, if at all, about the following? So about Nintendo, PlayStation, and the broader gaming market. That's a really interesting one because if you have been following things, there has been a lot of backlash on Nintendo around pricing. So there's been a bit of backlash around the pricing of the console, which is probably going to get more expensive for certain people in the world. But it's the games that are really expensive. So in the UK, Mario Kart World is £75. That is wild. I mean, that is a heck of a lot of money. Imagine if that is what games end up being priced at. But then we also had... Anyways, let's not go into all the game pricing here. That's not what we're talking about. But that is why I'm curious about them asking if your opinion has changed on PlayStation. So are you going to be thinking more favorably about PlayStation now because Nintendo has put the prices up on their game? They're even more expensive. So you think, oh, PlayStation's not done that. PlayStation's a good guy. The whole paying for the chat functionality. I know there's certain features that are behind the paywall of PS Plus Premium, but you can use voice chat for free. So that's another interesting aspect there. And then the broader gaming market. I don't know. I mean, that's a bit deep, isn't it? What does the launch of the Switch 2 make you think about? I guess the only negative is this push towards more digital gaming with these, digital key codes in a box. It's just the most stupid idea ever. I don't like that at all. But anyways, we've not reached the conclusion yet. There's one more thing they asked, and that is, I can't see, my water bottle's in the way. It says, what do you think about the Switch 2 pre-order approach? This is a good one, actually. So priority registration will be given to registrants who have purchased a Nintendo Switch Online membership with a minimum of 12 months of paid membership and a minimum of 50 hours total gameplay as of April 2nd, 2024. So it was even more hoops to jump through if you were in the UK, where I am. It was to have Nintendo Switch Online subscription for 12 months unbroken, so you couldn't have a gap in that time period. They were looking at your gameplay hours. They didn't say anything about having 50. It was just looking at users who had the most gameplay time, I assume. And then the last one was making sure you were signed up to share your information with Nintendo and be signed up to promotional emails. And then if you got all them, you'd be lucky enough to maybe be invited to buy the console. But all of these things I actually think are really good because Sony, think about the 30th anniversary products, for example. It was just a nightmare for genuine fans, and it was just, heaven for scalpers who purchased them all over the shop and were selling them on eBay for an absolute fortune, meaning real fans lose out on it and the scalpers make a quick buck. So I actually think that pre-order approach is good. But that is what they've been asking. So let me know what you think about that down below in the comments. Now, let's not forget, Sony has been in the handheld space before. The PSP was a massive hit. The PlayStation Vita was critically loved and is still loved to this day. I freaking love my PS Vita, but it was kind of under-supported. And more recently, we've now had the PlayStation Portal, which has been making waves and is, I would say, really popular, especially with fans who have, embraced this device for being an accessory and what it is, and just giving the remote play and cloud streaming a go. And most people don't regret it if you have a good enough connection. It is really, really good. But that's the thing. The Portal isn't a true handheld. It is a companion device for the PS5. I know you can play games with, cloud streaming without a PlayStation 5, but games don't run natively on it. You will need either the PlayStation 5 console, for remote play, or you need PlayStation Plus Premium subscription for cloud streaming. So for a lot of people, especially in regions without strong internet, or, all our friends over in Australia and New Zealand where cloud game streaming beta isn't available there just now, that's still a huge gap. And guess what? The Switch 2 can fill that gap, and Sony knows it and is thinking, maybe we do need a dedicated handheld after all. And there's been rumors for ages. We've covered other videos here on the channel. This is something they're definitely working on, but this might be them tweaking their approach. And it's not just Nintendo either. Microsoft is rumored to be working on its own handheld, which is meant to be coming out, I think, in 2027. They're also supposedly imminently going to be launching a handheld which they're making with Asus, which is going to be, I think, just a ROG Ally with an Xbox button on it, maybe a different UI or software in it. But that's happening. HP's also jumping in this space. You've got the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally are pushing the PC handheld movement big time. Then, there's a full-blown handheld renaissance happening right now, and Sony sees this as happening. So when a company like PlayStation starts asking their fans about a competitor's console, it is not just small talk, how you doing, we want to be nosy and see what you think about it. It's research, it's planning, it's probably, I wouldn't say the first step, but it is a step in a process to something bigger. So let's speculate for a minute. If Sony were making a new handheld, what would it be? Would it run games natively, like a portable PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 hybrid, or maybe even PlayStation 6 by the time this launches? Who knows? Would it support remote play and local play? Could it be cloud streaming first device like the Portal, but with local storage and, PlayStation Store built into it so you can play something on it? Or could it be a companion just to the PlayStation 6, as we mentioned? There's a lot of questions here, but one thing I feel they need to do is, if they are going down a dedicated handheld route so it can be supported effectively, is they need to take the same approach as Nintendo and not have two separate machines. By that, I mean separate machines you need to develop for. So it needs to be, if a game can run on the PlayStation console in your living room, sitting under your TV, it needs to be able to run on the handheld. Otherwise, we'll end up in the same scenario with the PlayStation Vita, where they launch it, the PlayStation console, at that time, it was the PlayStation 4, wasn't it? Was selling better. All the attention went on to the PlayStation 4 and the Vita got forgot about. So that is the big thing to keep in mind. We don't want them having to set up development teams and getting studios to make separate games for this handheld device. That is just not going to work in this day and age with how expensive developing games are. So let's keep that one at the forefront of our mind, people, when we're talking about a dedicated PlayStation gaming device. Now, if you're like most of the legends who watch this channel, you probably already own a PlayStation Portal or you're considering one. So what does all this mean for you? Right now, the Portal is the perfect companion for your PlayStation 5, and if you have a solid internet setup, it is well worth picking one up. But it is still a limited device. As we found out when the PlayStation Network went down, it became an expensive paperweight and could do absolutely nothing. The idea of Sony making a full standalone handheld device would appeal to a whole different audience, and I think also to the Portal audience, especially people who want to take their PlayStation games on the go without relying on streaming. It doesn't mean the Portal is obsolete, but it does suggest Sony is testing the waters for something more, like a fully fledged, I keep saying PSP 2, it could be Vita 2, or could this be the PlayStation Portal Pro? So is a Sony handheld on the way. We can't say for sure, but all the signs are definitely pointing in that direction with this new survey and with previous leaks about AMD hardware, which has been signed up and being worked on by Sony right now. The future's looking bright. This is probably the best chance and the best time for a dedicated PlayStation handheld to make a reappearance. And with the success of the PlayStation Portal, Sony is definitely taking the handheld market serious again. Maybe for the first time in a decade. Let me know in the comments, would you want a new PlayStation handheld that doesn't rely on streaming, or do you think Sony should double down on cloud gaming instead? I'll be reading and replying to as many comments as I can, so let me know your thoughts down below. And if you found this video interesting, I would love if you would drop the video a like, subscribe for more PlayStation coverage, and check out the next video on screen because YouTube thinks you will enjoy it.